In this lesson, we're going to be working to display the results of our trivia game. So we need to have something here in the user interface that can display the results. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to right click on Canvas over here. I'm going to say we need a new UI element. And this is I'm going to make it start the panel. And then I'm just going to shrink it down a bit. So I grab that corner, holding in, and I start moving it. Now I'm holding in Shift and the Alt key, have it scale towards the center uniformly. So maybe something sort of like that is okay. Okay. Now within that panel, I'm going to right click on it. I'm going to go to UI, and then I'm going to put some text into it, just like that. Okay. And now let's just make that text a little bigger. So I'm going to grab that corner and scale it up. I'm not going to hold in Shift because I want to actually scale it up this way as well, up and down. And something like that's fine. Okay. Now I'm going to go over to the text component in the inspector, and I'm going to change it to be centered and also centered in the middle. And that looks fine. Let's go ahead and say best fit, just like that. And that should be okay. For the text, we're going to have that get changed via code. So I think that will do. Now let's go back over into our script, and just so you know how to get to it again, it's over here on the I selected the main camera. Then in the inspector panel, I can just double click on Trivia Game Loop to bring that up, and see it's flashing. That's opened up in here. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to start off by making some new variables. So one thing we're going to need is we're going to need something to hold the trivia panels that we have right now, because what I want to do is I want to turn them off. Once we're showing the results, I want to turn off those so they're not visible anymore. So this is going to be a public game object, because these are game objects. Public game object array, and I'm going to call it trivia panels. Okay, and that will hold basically all the UI elements we've made besides the new ones, and basically just turn them off. So it'll do set active and then set to false for all of those panels. Okay. So the other thing we need to make is we need to we need to make a make a variable to hold the new panel we just made. So public game object, and it's going to be final results panel, just like that. Okay. And we need also, we need a variable to hold the text object so that we can change that text when we are showing the results. So it's a text object, and it's going to be called results text. And we're going to need, I think that's it for now anyway. Let's see what we have here. So are we keeping track of the correct answers though at the moment? And we are not. So we actually will need one more. We're going to need, and we can make this one private because we don't need to change it in the inspector. It's going to be private int, and it's going to be number of correct answers. So let's just do that. Number of correct answers. Okay. So with that taken care of, what we need to do is go down to where we're actually checking the answer here. Okay, so if this is correct, then how about we increase the number of correct answers? Okay, let's do that. So plus plus. Number of correct answers incremented by 1. There we go. We got that. Now we need to have something after this part here. So if we're not moving to the next question, well, that means we've finished all the questions. So then else, what we need to do, so I'm doing an else condition here, and I move that down. So else, what we need to do is you basically set all of the game objects in our trivia panels array to false. And we're going to use a new type of loop. It's a for each loop. Okay, so for each of something in something else, we can do something. I know there's a lot of somethings, and that's probably not the best way of explaining it, but if I show you, it'll make a little more sense. So, for each game object, and we're going to call each game object P. It's just a variable, don't worry about it too much. For each game object called P, use the keyword in, and then in trivia panels, that's the thing we're searching through, or we're going through, we're going to take P, which is what we're putting each of the game objects that are in trivia panels. We're storing it in P temporarily, and what we're going to do is we're going to take that and we're going to say P set active. So set active equal to false. So that will just turn off each of the game objects inside trivia panels. So that's basically all the for each loop is doing. You could just use a for loop, but this is just maybe a little simpler in some instances. So that taken care of. Okay, we have that now. So after that, though, what we need to do is, so we turn them all off. Now what we got to do is we have to turn on our final results panel, because we're going to have that off by default. So final results panel dot set active, capital S, set active equals to true. So there we go. So that's cool. And now one last thing, we're gonna make a new function for this. I'm just gonna type this in though. Display results. That's gonna be our new function that's actually going to change the text of the text that we put inside of our final results panel. So there we go. Let's go ahead and make that function now. Let's go down to the bottom and let's make a new function. So it's going to be a void, it's not going to return anything, and it's going to be called display results. Just like that. And no semicolon there. Okay, now let's put the curly braces in, and within this, I'm going to head and type this somewhere else because there's a lot of text to type, but now I'm going to explain what I just pasted in here. Okay, this is a switch statement. So you can sort of think of this as though it was one of those if else sort of things, only this is a little easier for this situation, and there are situations where switch statements are just easier to work with. So how this works is we have a switch. This is a switch statement from where it says switch down to where this curly brace meets this other one here. So all these cases are different things that can happen depending on the parameter you put within the parentheses here next to switch. So this is the variable, number of correct answers, and basically we're testing to see if number of correct answers is equal to 5. That's what this is here. So case 5 means is if number of correct answers is equal to 5, then do this stuff here right below it. So it will change the results text .text to equal this text here. And then the break is just saying, okay, we're done with the switch statement, break out of the switch statement. So it won't bother looking through the rest of the cases in that instance. So that's all that's happening. So if the number of correct answers is not equal to 5, it's going to go check, see, is it equal to 4? Is it equal to 3? Is it equal to 2? Is it equal to 1? Is it equal to 0? And if it's not equal to any of those, then it comes down to this. And now I'm going to change the print here to be something else. We're going to change this to be, let's just change it to be not a correct number. Okay. So that's cool. So now we have our switch statement here, and that should change our text depending on the number of questions we get right. So I'm going to go ahead and save this and check to see what errors we have pop up. So saving, I think we're going to have something probably come. Nope, I guess we're good. Let's go ahead and let's start assigning things. So I'm going to go ahead and take this panel first off and just turn it off because we do not want that on while the trivia stuff is up here. So from the start it should be off. And now for the trivia panels, let's see, what do we need for that? We're just going to need this here, which I'm just going to drag on top of that. And just so I can show you this again, so this panel here, I just selected that, and then up here, next where it says panel 2, the first sort of checkbox in the inspector, this is what sets its active state on and off. When it's not checked, then it's off. So I'm just going to leave that off there. And I'm going to go back to main camera. So we assigned panel, let's assign panel 1. It's also one of our trivia panels. Okay, so that's those. Now we need to, the final results panel, we need to drag this one that's off currently into that. It's going to be turned on when the you finish all of the questions. Now the results text, I'll just go ahead and drag that in there. Cool. Let's go ahead and play and see what happens. Okay, what is the second planet in our solar system? That'd be Venus. Okay. How many degrees are in a circle? 360. Who painted the Starry Night? It's Van Gogh. What is the boiling temperature in Fahrenheit? Let's get this wrong. Let's say 300 degrees. So we got one wrong. Was a platypus, let's say a reptile. Okay, so we got 3 out of 5 correct. Well done. So there we go. We have successfully gotten some results displayed. Okay, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.